Hey there, welcome to the garden. It barely even feels like the fall garden right now. It is so warm out. We're in the high 80s today. So I did come out and give everything a little bit of extra water. I may even water the container garden and all the fall plants again this afternoon just to try to cool things down. But we are getting into this October growing season now. It's looking pretty warm. I'm really excited by the extended forecast because it looks like we're going to have a very late first frost. And I've been saying that I'm not going to direct sow now that we're getting into October, that there's no point to direct sow really because the sunlight, the temperatures, it's just not a good time to plant things. And that is true. I'm really not going to be doing any kind of major planting at this point, although I did think I want to do just like one more container for the unheated greenhouse space, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm going to be planting, why I selected this plant. If you're looking for something to grow in kind of like a fall winter garden, ooh, there's still mosquitoes flying around, I highly recommend Swiss chard. So let me put the camera up and we'll just chat about unheated greenhouse and all the things. So whether or not you have an unheated greenhouse space, a heated greenhouse, some kind of protection for your plants or not, Swiss chard is going to be an awesome green to grow any of the varieties because it's super cold tolerant, but it's also heat tolerant. So if you live in a warm place, if you're having warm fall weather, it'll do okay with that. It'll also do okay with the really kind of cold wintry temperatures. And what I am excited about planting this is really just that I hope it'll get up and get growing a little bit. Maybe we'll see if I can get some baby greens, if the unheated greenhouse provides a little bit of protection for it, a little bit of extra support, but then it'll just keep growing all winter and then it'll keep growing all summer. So it would have been ideal for me to start this probably in the spring and let it get big and bushy and full over the summer and then try to bring it into the unheated greenhouse to overwinter it. I'm kind of doing it a little bit backwards, but as far as something to like experiment with, I think I might be able to get some baby greens because I was looking on here and it says the days to maturity are 50 to 55 days. Now we're right at the beginning of October when I'm filming this, and right now my first frost is actually looking to be about mid-November. So I have about 50, maybe 40, 50 days until we get like a frost. So that means hopefully the growing temperatures will be good. And if I put it in the unheated greenhouse and we have nice warm sunny days, that tends to stay above freezing, especially before we get into the really like deep, cold, intense winter temperatures. So this could actually be perfect. It's 50 to 55 days to maturity. This is a rhubarb Swiss chard. It's got really pretty red stems and it's just kind of a decorative plant as well. So it's going to be really beautiful in containers, which will be nice and really fast growing. The description of this particular variety is that it has red to white stems with glossy green leaves. Plants are heat tolerant and slow to bolt. So this will be good too because we may have some fluctuations in temperature. Sometimes the unheated greenhouse gets pretty warm, especially on like the earlier part of the season. Some of the fall days get pretty hot, so it's not going to be bothered by swings in temperature, which will be really good. And it has a kind of similar texture, it says, to spinach or kale. I have found that. Some people don't like Swiss chard. Some people feel like it's kind of earthy, maybe like more like to the beet category. I tend to find it to be just as palatable as kale, spinach, great to add. You know, I don't make a whole salad out of Swiss chard typically, but I'll add in bits of it and I always enjoy it, or I'll just use it in place of lettuce on a salad and I never have an issue with the taste. It definitely has the texture, like that spinach texture, if you know what I mean, to the leaves. But this is just such a cool plant, cold tolerant, and here's the best part. if you grow in a similar garden to me, it is a sun to partial sun, so it can handle a little bit of shade and will still grow, which is going to be good. I'm going to be putting it in pretty much full sun. I'm trying to really maximize that 50 days to maturity. Now we are getting to the season where the days are getting shorter, so it's not going to be getting the full like really long days, so it might not grow quite as fast to the 50 days, but I don't know, the germination temperatures are 40 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 5 to 30 degrees Celsius. That's what we've got right now. That'll be perfect, so it should come up quickly, and then it should grow quickly, and then we'll have it protected by the Unheated Greenhouse, and it should work. I think it should work. Now I'm going to be growing this in a container, and I have had good luck growing Swiss chard in containers. Particularly, I've had good luck with the rhubarb Swiss chard in containers. I haven't grown a ton of varieties. Usually I end up putting it in the raised bed because it's just a really pretty, you know, it's a pretty plant, and so it looks really pretty in the raised beds too, although it definitely would add, I mean, you could even put some Swiss chard with like some violas and make a really pretty decorative container as well. I'm going to be doing just a single container with the rhubarb Swiss chard. But it's really happy. I had a Swiss chard that grew for like, I mean, almost like 2 years in a container when I first started gardening. It was a really beautiful rhubarb Swiss chard. It had the most gorgeous green stems. It was just really, really lovely, and really happy. I am going to plant these fairly close together in the container, so they are going to be pretty densely planted, and that's mostly just because I like baby greens for my lettuces and my salads. It's just easier. It's easier to put on sandwiches. It's just easier for all the practical ways that I eat these greens. And I do have to say that I find Swiss chard is easier to work with when it's baby greens. I don't really typically saute it down. I know the bigger leaves, and maybe that's where people are having kind of like issues with the texture and the earthiness because they're like eating the big leaves, and I don't do that. I just eat the baby leaves, and they're yummy and they're delicious, and so I can plant them close together in a container too, because I'm just going to keep kind of like cut and come again method, just keep harvesting them over and over again, and they'll be good and just like nice yummy tender baby greens. So this is very exciting. I'm trying to think if there's anything else really to say about it. Yeah, if you are like me and you're just not ready to be done planting seeds, maybe do some experiments with this chard with me. Let me show you the container. I've got this little container right there, kind of earmarked for the Swiss chard. I did fill that container with just regular potting mix. Of course, you know, always use potting mix in your containers versus garden soil. I'm sure you all know that, but just to say that. And let's see, I'm probably gonna do like, how many? 10 plants or so, and that's about an 8-inch diameter container. So pretty densely packed. Swiss chard are also, they're kind of like, their seeds kind of look like beets. I believe they're one of those seeds where sometimes multiple plants will come out of one seed. They're pretty cool. And it's so easy to plant these. Now, they are a little bit bigger than like say your lettuce, so I'm not going to surface sow them. I am going to put a little bit of soil on top. What does it say? Planting depth. It doesn't say, but you know, 1/4 inch maybe of potting soil on top. All right, so I'm just gonna flatten out this potting soil. I'm gonna sprinkle them as separated as I can to give them the most space possible. And then sort of just push them all in a little bit, get a little soil on top. Good to go. Perfect. Okay, so the other thing I am going to do for this is cut out a little bit of chicken wire to go on top because I don't want the squirrels. You know how the squirrels are in this garden, They want to eat everything. So I've been covering all of my containers with chicken wire, and that has been working really well just to protect all the seedlings. I'm just gonna cut a circle like this and get some landscape fabric or I keep saying landscape fabric, landscape staples to tack it down. So that's what I'm gonna go do now, and I'll get that cut out and then come back. Okay, let's put landscape staple in. I have to say, it's not my favorite thing to have to put these chicken wire covers on, but it is making such a big difference. The past few years, I have dealt with so much frustration with the squirrels digging in my garden. It's just the worst when you've got like little seedlings this size and they just dig them up and they're completely destroyed. It's been really hard. So, you know, my garden's covered in chicken wire, which I don't think it looks too bad. It's not great, but it's not terrible. And you can't even see it once the plants grow up. So once that Swiss chard is just gonna go right through the chicken wire, and then you won't be able to tell at all. As you can see with the peas, you can barely see. It's really not, it's not too big a deal. So that's gonna be fine. I'm gonna put it here. This is a pretty full sun area in the garden, so it should be really happy here. We'll maximize the daylight as much as possible, and I will keep you posted on how this goes. Now, let me just show you the frame in case you are new. This is the Unheated Greenhouse frame. It's just one of those plastic greenhouses that you just put the little plastic cover on. I'm still waiting on that because we are having, this little heat wave here. It's getting really, really hot out here in the garden. It's super warm. Today I've got my shorts on and I feel like it's summer. It's probably why I'm out here planting seeds, honestly, because this weather is sort of tricking me, and that is something. Usually I end up planting seeds like in January, and it's just a waste of seeds. You know, you do have to be careful because sometimes it is a waste of seeds, but I'm willing to kind of sacrifice a handful of Swiss chard just for the fun of it, just to have something growing, to see if we can get that harvest. I mean, 50 days, right? I feel like there's a chance. Let me know what you think, if this is, if I'm wasting these seeds or not, but I feel like there's a chance, and I'm really trying this year to maximize growing in this unheated greenhouse and kind of extending my fall garden. So that's the plan. Otherwise, the garden is just looking beautiful. I just filmed my garden tour yesterday, so not much has changed since the garden tour, but been having fun out here. We'll see how that Swiss chard does. I am just gonna water it in now and then head inside and go pick up my daughter from preschool. So got a little bit of gardening in during nap time in preschool, and that for me is a huge success. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.